Hey guys, Brent Abernathy. Welcome to the Family First Life Gulf Coast New Agent Training Call on Thursday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. I got a special guest with us today, Kendra Ganz, who, Kendra, how long have you actually been with us? I know you're part-time, but how long have you actually been licensed?
I got licensed in last July, so not a year yet.
Not a year yet. Okay. But the reason I've got Kendra on is we talk all the time about, as a new agent, really any agent, you can make out of this thing whatever you want to make out of. Okay. You can go full bore and go full time. You can just do it as a side hustle, a part-time, type thing, or you can, a lot of people do start part-time in hopes of transitioning out of their full-time job where they can go full-time with this thing. And, I think that can be a struggle, Kendra, for agents a lot of times that are getting going with us, as far as the dedication, the structure, things like that is needed to be a part-time agent. It takes a different type of mentality. And the reason I wanted to have you on today is I've noticed your activity being much more consistent lately. You seem to be having a good amount of momentum, and you just seem, from my perspective, when I think about you, I think Kendra's got her deal figured out, at this point. And so I just wanted to have you on as a part-time agent. I think it can really help a lot of people, and obviously, it bears fruit in the numbers from this past month. The month of March, as a part-time agent, you helped 23 families, which is awesome. And I know you've got two young kids, and you're doing your thing as a mom, and you got another business as well that takes a little bit of your time. So, and oh, by the way, you are related to Kiefer. I mean, the whole Zimmerman clan, right? Kiefer's sister, Kayla's sister. And so I'm sure it's fun and exciting and enjoyable to be in business with your family as well. But talk a little bit about kind of the struggles. Tell everybody a little bit about your situation, but also what you kind of struggled with early on compared to where you're at right now.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for having me on, by the way. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in retail my whole life. So that was kind of my gig, before this. And, once I had my second little one, if you've been in retail, you know that it's, 10+ hour days, nights, weekends, some holidays, that sort of thing, and to have little ones at home, that's difficult. And I never wanted to be the mom that dropped the kids off at daycare at 5 a.m. and didn't see them again till 7, that was just not something that I wanted to do. So actually on my maternity leave for my baby girl here, I was talking to Kiefer a little bit, and, she was doing this, and I didn't really know much about it at the time, but because of how serious I was about wanting to get out of this, long work day, 50+ hours a week kind of thing, I was just like, tell me more, Kiefer, tell me more. Cause I see all of her, issue paid every month. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how is that even possible? Like, if I split that in half, I think I could probably make this work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we got into it a little bit. She kind of explained a little bit more. I kind of grasped it a little bit better than I did before. And then I was like, you know what? Now's the time. I've got the time to go ahead and get licensed. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, so be it, but at least right now I've got the time on my hands to do it. So in a week, I just finished all my licensing and that sort of thing. Then I just was like, I'm going to just commit to the last couple weeks here of my maternity leave, just learning. So I got in here, kind of watched Kiefer, listened, and actually started dialing and running appointments. And then after probably a week or two, I'm just like, I'm going to do this. I can figure out a way to make this work. So I gave my 2-week notice and I was like, all right, this is it. Bye retail. Hello, insurance industry. Never would I ever have guessed that this is where I would be.
Right. Me either. Me either.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I definitely want to make sure that I share with people how difficult it is to be part-time, because I think it does seem like really elegant to just go at this in a part-time manner. We talk about and we want people to understand that it is something that you can do from anywhere, that you can work anytime you want, those kinds of things. But I think people misunderstand that when we say it as to mean you don't have to work much. That's not really the case. Yes, you can work from anywhere, and yes, you can. It's flexible. It can be flexible, but you still have to put in the work. So I think for me, right away, the most difficult thing for me was the phones. I'm totally. I don't like. I'm a people pleaser. So I don't like to, make somebody upset, and I don't know, like just working through that phone part of things was difficult for me. So I had to have more leads and that kind of thing. And I think I also just from not having a ton of true sales experience, I had a hard time when people would say no to me. And so it was kind of an emotional roller coaster. And honestly, it still is. It totally still is. But my husband, he did some sales early on in his career, and every time I get home and I'm complaining about something or I'm being emotional, he's like, who cares? On to the next. I'll be like, this person did this and this happened and whatever, and he's like, so what? I'm like, but I just spent this much money on leads and this is all I got. On to the next. And I'm just like, that's so frustrating because I want someone to vent to that's going to be like, yeah, I totally get it, but he's not, which I think is good though, because I definitely need that. But yeah, being part-time because, okay, so my schedule, I'll just explain is Mondays are my.
Hang on before you get to schedule, because I do want you to get there. But sure. I don't want to skip over what you just said, because the emotional roller coaster for people who maybe haven't been in sales, and I was the same way. It's like, wait a second, these people are telling me no, or whatever, and we start living and dying by every single thing that happens, right? And what you come to realize is the top people in our industry, the top producers that we have, they don't change. They just keep going on about their activity and their business. And if somebody tells them no, hey, okay, on to the next. Somebody tells them yes, they don't get too excited, and they just keep moving, right? And that's something that a lot of people struggle with, Kendra. And so and I think the best thing to do, you said your husband, who did have a little sales experience, he was kind of trying to get you on that level, and you never like it when things don't go your way, but it's a reality of it. It just is. Like when I was playing baseball, I would love to get 10 hits, go up to the plate 10 times and get 10 hits. I would love that. That would be awesome, right? Be so excited, but it's just not real. It's not a realistic, goal. So it truly is the numbers-based business. And I loved what you said earlier too. You said, hey, I struggled with the phone thing early on. So it was almost like you just said it. I don't even know if you realized you said it. I struggled with the phone thing early on. So I just realized I needed more leads, right? And that's okay, right? As you do it more, your skill set's going to get better. So you might not need as many leads to book your full set of appointments, but a lot of new agents don't grasp that. It's no big deal that you're not great your skill set yet. Just get more leads so you can still get your appointments that you need. And I don't know. I didn't want to skip over that because, like, we have to find whatever it is for you as a new agent. you have to find that thing that keeps you here. No matter whether you hear yeses or nos. For me, I changed my mindset and I started tricking my mind into thinking that the no's were a good thing, right? Hey, instead of dialing today and I have to book 15 appointments for the next 2 days, I changed it to like, I got to get 75 no's today on the phone, right? So now when they hang up on me or I get a no, I'm not all upset. I'm like, woohoo! I get to mark down a tick mark.
Yeah, and actually for me, I'm just like, all right, these are the leads I have today. I'm going to get through them as fast as I can. So when it's a no, it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm on to my next one faster, and you just go through those leads. Then of course you do it again and again. But yeah, just kind of, that's the way my mind kind of works it too.
Cool.
You definitely do have to play some of those games with yourself just to get through it.
So on the schedule, I didn't want to skip over that. So what were you getting ready to say about your schedule?
Yeah. So I think that really for anybody, whether you've come from somewhere that you've had some flexibility or you've come from a really structured environment, I think having a structure in your schedule is important no matter what. For me, because I always had a set schedule for my work, I think it was very appealing to have flexibility, and yet you come to realize very quickly that you just can't do that. If you need to get a certain amount of appointments in, that sort of thing, you just have to have a schedule. It's just not an option. And so I dial Mondays and I run Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And during that time, my husband and my mother-in-law have my kids. And so because of that, like, I know that I have to take full advantage of this time that I have set aside, because that's the only time. Like, I can't put my kids on anybody else for any amount longer. So I have to make sure that I get stuff done in this time. So that is what kind of pushes me. But I will say again, the schedule is probably one of the biggest key things as a part-time agent, is because you have to have 15 appointments minimally. If you're going to be successful, you just have to have that many appointments minimally to continue doing this part-time, is what I would say.
Because that gives you the ability to not be very good and still help 3 or 4 families, and the learning curve and things like that, right?
Yeah, and that's something that I've really noticed since Kaler coming on, because he's come on as a full-time agent, and so and honestly, I will say that just kind of backtracking for a second, having any kind of support system, especially in the business, is really crucial. I think if I didn't have Kiefer and then Kaler here, I don't know that I would have been able to kind of weather the storms on my own, Right. And so if you don't have, a family member in the business, honestly, you have to just start making friends with people that are, because everybody here is willing to help each other, but the thing is nobody's going to go after you and say, hey, are you doing this? Hey, do you need help with this? Whatever, because we're all in our own business, and they don't know how much you need. They don't necessarily know very much about you at all, from Adam sometimes. Right. And so, so I think it's important for you to just kind of sometimes even put away some pride and just like get into the habit of, on your run days, asking questions, on your dial days, get into an office, because being around people that are doing the same thing, even if you're not in the same room, is just going to help push you to keep going, but what I was saying before was the learning curve. I just noticed that Kaler is just getting through it so much faster, and I'm seeing so much success in him because, he just has all these repetitions going on. And so for me, when I have a tough week, where I barely break even on my leads or, something like that, that next week, I have a whole, 4 days to think about how terrible of a week I had before I get another at bat, And so I think that can be frustrating. I think there's been maybe 2 weeks altogether, though, that I have not made my lead money back that I've put into it. and then some, so I will also say that as much as I'm saying it's difficult, I mean, it's not been much of an investment. People have a hard time spending money on leads, but you'll always get it back. You will always get it back one way or another. Even if it's not this week, I can almost guarantee that next week you'll double it, and then all of a sudden you'll be back in business, So, but like I said, just waiting till that next Monday to kind of get yourself going again sometimes is frustrating too, so watching Kaylor have that success more quickly, I would say that's the other thing about being part-time is if there's any way you can start going full-time, or even just like add one more dial day or one more run day or something like that in the beginning. I would have a hard time saying, no, these are my only 2 days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays that I'm in the area or whatever, because I was running a lot of Green Bay. I live in Green Bay. So if someone said they're available on Thursday, I'd be like, I'll figure it out. I just want the appointment, And right. So I would just make it work so that I could have another appointment on a Thursday. But if you can manage to get any more days to be in the field, just getting those at bats, it's going to just make all the world of a difference in getting you through that learning curve faster. So,
Kendra, and you said something, you were talking about, hey, I'm part-time. I dial Monday. I only run Tuesday, Wednesday. So I know that I have to get everything done, right? Like now dial day, it's like, I don't have any second chances for another 7 days, right? And you said something earlier too, about, being a mom, and you don't want to be the mom that drops your kids off at daycare early in the morning. You don't see them until 7 o'clock at night. And you said, I'm serious about that. Like, that's who I am. I want to make that happen where I'm not doing that. And, I wrote down, as I'm taking notes, I wrote down, how serious are you? Right. So it's like, we can all say we want this or that or whatever, but it's like, how serious about your goals are you? And that leads to, like, if somebody's super serious about making it happen, you can call it their why, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But if they're super serious about making this thing work part-time, or making this thing work part-time where they can transition out of full-time, whatever, if they're serious about what they want, then we make it happen. But we have to know, hey, this is all I got. There's no plan B for this week, because if I get distracted on dial day, or if I don't have enough leads on dial day, or if I just don't work on dial day or whatever, I can't make it up for a full week, so you have to, I think that how serious are you about your goals is a huge thing. Yeah, like it has to almost be like life or death. Like, yeah, this is all I got as a part-time agent. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.
So what's you got any questions for me that maybe I can help you out at all? About your specific business, about what you're looking to do, really anything I can help you with?
Well, I think it would be helpful to kind of, there's not a lot of people that do this part-time that also like build their own business and can transition from this part-time to actually having an agency, a full-grown agency, and being able to do all that while staying part-time. So can you just talk about like what that takes, what that should look like, because I am in the process of, like, I've got two agents under me at the moment. Okay. And just already I'm like starting to feel like overwhelmed, because I'm the kind of person that wants to make sure I dedicate that time to my agents as well, and make sure that they're having the best experience possible, and that they are, that they're making money too, because I take that upon myself, right? Just like I think we all would. But I'm like, okay, so how do I balance? Because it's so important for me to still keep consistent on those days, because I'm only part-time. How do I balance making sure that I'm doing that with also giving them the time And then we just talked about recruiting. So I just, I'm going to be starting doing the ZipRecruiter stuff, where I think we're having a meeting today about getting that part of the business going. And so I'm just like, okay, so I'm going to have interviews and this and that and whatever. I don't mind like that leading into some of my other days or bleeding into my other days. But at the same time, I have kids literally with me those other days. So being on the phone and serious like phone calls and stuff like that, that's hard, you know? So I just want to get an idea of, first of all, has anybody done that? Do you know, like personally, and what is that going to look like? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. People have done it. People do it all the time. Okay. The most important thing, there's a couple things you have to do to have success going about it the way that you're going about it. Okay. Number one is you have to be transparent with the people that are in your group. Even like you said, you know, interviews that you're doing or whatever, be transparent about who you are and what you're doing, right? Don't try and come across like you're a full-time agent and like, no, let them know, hey, here's what I've done. Okay. This is how many families I'm helping, you know, 2 days a week. I'm a mom, you know, kind of what we were talking about earlier. This is why I got into the business. I didn't want to drop my kids off early, blah, blah, all that stuff. So be transparent with them about it. Okay. But also you have to use the system. You have to use, I mean, your sister's one of the best we got in the entire country. She is, right? So, and she's at this full time, and use, you know, let them talk to Kiefer, let them talk to Courtney, right? But yes, you're going to help them. You're going to talk to them. You're going to answer your phone, all that sort of stuff, which that's not a big deal, right? The days you're not in the field or whatever, I mean, that's not a big deal. As long as you got your phone with you, you can work. It's a quick phone call, you help out, whatever. But biggest thing though, too, on a part-time basis, like you have to come first. Okay. You said it earlier. You said you're a people pleaser. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is a good quality to have, but you have to come first. You and your production has to come first, because like we said, you don't get another chance for another week. Right. So, you know, as much as you want to please new agents into the business, all that stuff, and be there for them all the time, a lot of times it helps them to realize that they need to figure out some things for themselves too, right? That helps them more than you giving them the answers all the time, you know. So use the system, use the training calls, you know, the new agent boot camps and stuff that are fixing to come out. Use those, you know, promote those like crazy. Get them in an office, you know, wherever they're at. That way you're not feeling responsible for everything, right? They've got a support system there, but they'll also understand that and they'll appreciate that, because, hey, if you're talking to somebody who wants to go full time with this thing, well, that might be a person where you maybe have a little small talk with them or whatever. And you're like, you know what, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get with my manager, Kiefer, and let them get on the phone with Kiefer, right? Because you're not doing the deal that person's wanting to do, right? Mm-hmm. And then you and Kiefer work together and you know, get them up and going. But I think that transparency is a huge thing, Kendra, is let them know where you're coming from and who you are. But also let them, and they'll appreciate that too, because now, guess what? If they are looking to go like a part-time thing or whatever, now they're like, oh my God, I got the best person I could possibly be with, you know, working with. But they'll also appreciate it if they're going full-time for you to say, hey, I've got one of the best full-time people in the entire country I can hook you up with. Right. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? That will build trust in your relationship with the new agent very quickly. because you're truly doing what's best for them.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got anything else real quick before we wrap up?
No.
Okay.
I'm appreciative that you had me on. I'm excited for this next kind of step here. So
Yeah, and it's going to keep building. That's the way
I'm
it
almost
works.
at 9 months. So I'm excited for that start.
There you go.
That's a huge difference for me too, I think.
That back end money, right? Months 10, 11, and 12.
Mm-hmm.
It just starts dropping in the account. And it helps, as far as helps fray cost of leads. It helps. I mean, it does. It helps get you ahead, all that sort of stuff. So I always tell a new agent, just work your tail off for 9 months and then come and talk to me in month 10 when you start having money, drop into the account. So, well, girl, I'm appreciative of you, what you do for the team. I know you talked glowingly about Kiefer and Kaylor about how they've helped you, in the business, but I know full well what you mean to the Saints team and Kiefer and Kaylor as well. And I'm appreciative of it. And I can see the momentum building, and I can see the consistency building. And the big key is just keep doing that and just keep building on that every single day, right? Don't allow yourself to fall out of, don't allow yourself to lose that momentum and that structure and that consistency that you've gained. Keep trying to get a little bit better every single day with what works with you and your family and your schedule. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, girl. Well, listen, I appreciate you. Okay. And I look forward to seeing you actually up in Green Bay. I think on the 25th of this month.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But have a good rest of the day, and thanks for sharing with everybody. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Brent.
All right, Kendra. Talk to you soon.